The pioneering football kings and the ill-fated New Zealand Knights are just a distant memory for most in this part of the world. Professional football today returns to the City of Sails.
Hello and welcome to Nice Drop of Port. We are back for the debrief after Auckland Football Club's first ever game, a 2-0 victory over the Brisbane Roar. What a game it was. More than 24,000 of us crammed into Mount Smart Stadium, which is the second highest ever opening game attendance in the A-League. And tonight we are joined by some old friends again, Robbie, Blair and Matt. Welcome back to the show.
G'day. That's it.
Yes.
I got in ahead of the traffic this week. I stayed at work.
Robbie's here at the start, which is incredible. Four minutes to spare, rolled into the studio.
Better than being late.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what an opening game. I mean, I don't really know where to start. Like we kind of talked it up, but then actually being there was, for me, quite incredible to be part of that. It felt like a historic day. You know, it felt like there was a lot of pressure on the game, and we got the win. The crowd sung their hearts out, particularly the Port. So Blair, I'm going to bring you in first, mate. You're right in the centre of it. Now tell us a little bit about your day on Saturday.
Well, it actually started at 9 o'clock when I left home to head down because I was part of the volunteer group setting up all the cards and the banner and all that. So got there about 10. We worked around for about 2-3 hours setting it all up, getting all the rubber bands and breaking rubber bands and racing away to buy more rubber bands, and then going back, putting the cards in. Yeah, then we sat around at Lily World for 4 hours, or some of us did. The British boys got very giddy at the thought of riding the train to the football again for the first time in years. So they raced off to Tyler Street, jumped on the train, then jumped on the train back and brought the rest of the Port boys to the game.
Well, they did the return trip. They were so excited into the city and back. And so you guys all pitched up in Lily World there, and then there was this kind of march. Myself and my family actually missed it. But tell us a little bit about how that went down. There was a little bit of footage in that video we showed, Blair. But you're a flag bearer. I mean, I feel pretty proud actually.
Yeah.
It's that guy for
I had
TV.
the hat for it, so
on the TV as well. We saw.
Yeah, that's right.
It was sort of a bit of confusion at first. There was a few numbers for times being thrown around, and a few of the boys got excited, and we ended up dancing around and singing just behind the stands at the entrance to Lily World there, and until we finally got the go ahead from the producers to start our march down, and then we slowly had to go step by step, holding off a few seconds and slowly creeping down the stairwell, and you can tell we're going too quick and then we're going too slow. And
I thought this was all real. This just sounded like a reality TV show now,
The magic of TV, hey?
Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed to hear this actually.
Hands up, the stars down. Yeah, come down.
Can you just do that again? As it was some of that.
But yes, came down singing and chanting, and then filled out the Port and got under the banner.
It looked
and
amazing.
Up.
It looked so good.
Yeah,
it really did.
It was fantastic. There's some great footage on the Port Facebook group for it. So yeah.
That's right, and then so the sort of ground filled up. The Port had been singing for a while. By the time I got there, we were just off to the left of the Port, and it kind of really felt like it. I didn't feel like it was overdone. There wasn't overkill with the opening ceremony or anything. We got a blue bit of paper to hold up. To make that sort of black and blue shot, which was nice. There you go. It's good. There you go. Black and blue.
At some point, get framed or something.
Yeah, and it felt really monumentous to be there. Now, obviously, Matt, you were watching on the TV for us this week. Or I and the Sky and Robbie would have been as well over in Sydney. But Matt, what was your?
Yeah.
How did it feel on the TV?
Yeah, no, it came across. Yeah, it was really good. We were just having a quick talk about it there before. Yeah, the atmosphere really came through the TV really well. It was really good. It felt, as we were just talking a moment ago, you could tell there was a bit of tension, a bit of, you could feel it in the air. It felt like quite a big kind of like a World Cup game where something was on the line, and there was a lot on the line. You didn't want to play your first game in the A-League and all this, fanfare and all this publicity, and you get pumped 3 or 4, 5-0. So there was always a bit of jeopardy. But no, it was great and great. Yeah, the port, you could tell. Yeah, the songs were coming through. You could just feel it on the TV. No, it was great. It was fantastic. Really good.
Right, and Robbie, obviously, back there in the Knights and the Kings days, full circle for you. You watch it over there in Sydney?
I actually had to, excuse me, had to watch it back later because I was producing the game. It was on straight after that, so I could only sort of half keep an eye on it. But even then, it was like I was still immensely proud of what I was seeing. And then when I finally had a bit of time across the weekend just to watch it back, and like actually watch the game, it was incredible. Like I hadn't seen anything like that out of New Zealand probably since qualifying for the World Cup back in 2009. And that's a long time ago. So for a site like that, I even off the top of my head, maybe a couple of Warriors finals games, nothing else comes close to that. So I have to applaud everybody from the port, from the club, fans, just getting right in behind it. And the thing is, just as long as they can keep it going, not just make it a one-off. Yeah, but it's a fantastic start for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? It felt like a football crowd, which was great. Like there was one chant which was clap, 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 Auckland. And me and my 3 daughters looked at each other. We're like, no,
not that one.
Thankfully, it's sort of like it moved past. But getting back, go on.
There was a Mexican wave too. They tried to get going a couple of times. And they kept dying at the south stand.
Yeah, we'll get a bit into these chants, because I've sort of got a theory that like the Port is obviously playing with all these chants at the moment, but I feel like like everyone that goes to see the team needs to know like some simple ones, there's some really easy ones. So I guess, and if everyone in that ground was like getting behind a real simple song, it would be incredible in there. So, but so. The opening sort of, the whistle goes, we're into it. And my opening memory is the throw from left back. And because I must have been sitting directly in line with the touchline, and he throws it, the left back, I think it was De Vries, and it just sails off the pitch. And I was like, oh no, it's not going to be one of those sort of days. And I mean, thankfully it wasn't, but it was kind of like, oh my goodness. But I thought they played incredely well.
He redeems himself. For sure.
He does. Well, I mean,
big time.
Yeah, I mean,
big time.
Absolutely. I mean, let's get into it a little bit. We have this early goal. How important do you guys think that early goal was to just settle us a little bit?
Yeah, I think massively important, just because it settled the team and it helped settle the crowd as well. Because I think, particularly as a generalization, this is the first time for a lot of New Zealand football fans. So the longer that it kind of stayed 0-0, I don't know how the atmosphere would have changed, whether that awesomeness from the start of the game, if that's, slowly starting to die off. So the fact that they were able to make something early, I think just kind of kept all that momentum going. And then, on the pitch, it helped settle the team, and from then on, they didn't really ever look threatened massively.
Yeah,
I don't think
you're right. The energy stayed because I think because the goal was so early, and it was. I mean, it was a lovely goal as well. The little sort of play into the box, and then the clip out to the wing to Sakai, and he did what, like, when I played a bit of amateur football, what I always used to do, like, if in doubt, just hit it really hard and low into the box, and because anything can happen. You know, it was the ideal thing to do.
And that was a point raised by in the Sky's pre-game coverage. Jacob Spoonley said Sakai, when he gets into the box, he doesn't cross it, he shoots it. But it's not a shot on goal. It's a cross with power, and you know, it happened pretty early. So tip of the cap to Jake for getting that right. He doesn't get too many right, Jake Spoonley. I chat to him pretty often, so he'll be fine with it.
Yes, I mean Sakai said he wasn't a forward, but yeah, I mean that's he was just getting in the mix. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah. I was gonna say I think an early goal can sometimes go both ways as well. But what I've noticed with a lot of teams, you'll probably notice this a lot when you watch another game when a team scores, they'll all go off to the corner and they'll celebrate and they'll get into a bit of a huddle and they'll slow everything down. And for what I've been I think what I've heard or something like that is, you know, the old cliche, you're always the most vulnerable after you've just scored. That's when you're most vulnerable. And I think a lot of coaches are pushing a lot of teams, a lot of players to the corner to celebrate, just to cool everything down. Because it takes, you know, the referee will come over to the corner. He'll say, "Come on now, lads, you've had your celebration.
Move it along. Yeah,
come on, moving along." But you'll notice they're extremely slow going back to it, and I think that's a bit of a ploy. I've heard that it's going to be something that's it's going to be looked at from a referee point of view. Because sometimes even the goalkeeper's running over to the corner. They
do carry on a bit when they score, don't they? They do carry on.
Because I think sometimes you can score a goal and you can get a little bit, you know, get a bit jittery or something. So I don't know. I think
I like the ones in the Premier League who refuse to score. They refuse to cheer if they score at their old club. You know, they're like, I'm above all this. You know,
this is dangerous territory, because I saw in the news this week, is it Dunedin Airport's introduced like a 3-minute hug at the drop off.
There you go. That's it.
You can't. I mean, this is dangerous territory we're entering into.
I haven't heard this, but it does not surprise me. You know, it does not surprise me.
Apparently, worldwide headlines. Like, yeah, literally. There's. I don't know if there's someone actually there with a timer. But
so you're only allowed 3 minutes. Not. It's not enforced. It's not compulsory 3 minutes.
It's frowned upon.
It's a maximum.
In the ridiculously busy hub that is Dunedin Airport, I'm sure.
I was going to say it's quite.
3 minutes is more than enough.
Yeah, it must be killing them those 3+ minutes. Yeah. But they dealt with it. They dealt with it great though. They scored that early goal and they kept it going.
They did. I thought it was great. You know, and what was it like when the first goal went in the port, right in the middle of it, Blair?
I think there was sort of a little bit of confusion because I don't think anyone really expected to score that quickly. You know, like it was sort of like, you know, it'd be great to get a goal, you know, and then all of a sudden, 8 minutes in, an own goal on top of that. It was just like, wait, oh shit! and it started cheering, and
that's right. Yeah. And you forget when you're in the ground, because we're so used to watching on TV that the goal's right up the other end from where we are, you know, and it's kind of you know you don't see you have to stop yourself watching the big screen there in Mount Smart, because you have to stop yourself. You're like, no, I'm at the game. I'm gonna watch the pitch.
Yeah, I was down there watching it. I was just like, I just saw Sakai put it in, and then it goes in. Like, oh shit, did he score from there? Because like that would have been such like a perfect start. Would be Sakai scoring a goal like that, but it's like an own goal.
we took it, and the port, and the whole stadium just went up. It was fantastic to see. You know, got through to half time, and I'm going to tell my story about half time, which is essentially, as I said, I went to this game with my daughters, and the youngest had her eye on this massive slide. So at Mount Smart, there's sort of stands 3 sides, and then there's this beautiful bank that people can sit on. But the club had put out on this incredible family orientated day. It was absolutely incredible. There was so many kids at this game, and so me and my daughters walked to the other end where it was, and I'd done that parenting mistake. I'd overcommitted. I'd agreed to something before I knew quite what I was getting myself into. and can I go on the slide, Dad? Can I go? Yeah, we'll do the slide at half time. No bother. And we get up to the other end, and the entire that hill, the slide covers the whole hill. And I'm no kid of a lie. There's probably about 500 kids in this queue to get on the slide, and another 100 just trying to push in at various points, and some mothers and some mothers control and fathers kind of controlling it. And so I watched the first 25 minutes of the second half from the top of the hill at the other end. And it was actually really nice to actually see it from that side, because you could see, the port and all that in action, and it was beautiful to watch. And I was lucky. I made my way all the way back down to the port end, got back in my seat for obviously our second goal, which for me was the real beauty, like that.
Yeah.
Just talking about the football. I mean, what a great goal.
Oh, as a finish, that was pure. I mean. I don't think
it was the cross though. The cross was just
totally. The cross made the goal, and Rogerson's finish was just absolutely perfect. He didn't need to smash it; he just guided it into the near post.
He passed it in, didn't he? The timing was impeccable, and he made it look easy. I mean, but that wouldn't have been easy.
That was a great ball, fantastic.
It was the ball. It was the ball that made it. You're right.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it was
Uruguayan Guillermo Mai with the ball, the star visa player.
Yeah, I thought he had a good game, actually. I thought he had a good game.
Could have had another assist too with one that he squared across with Brimmer, and Brimmer sort of threw himself at. If Brimmer was 6 inches taller, we would have won that game 4-0. So there was another chance. There was a header that it just went over. Well over Mai, but then it just went over Jake Brimmer. And it was just a completely open net. And we still win, so I'll happily take it.
Yeah, I mean, and like watching from home, Matt, like what did you kind of make overall of Auckland's football? Because I mean, being at the ground, and I mean, Blair was drinking from 9 a.m, and he wouldn't have known what was going on. I was wrangling some children. So you sound like you might have had the best view on the game.
I'm just looking at my notepad here. Took a few notes. I don't want to ruin it. I'll have my ratings coming up that we can all. We've got a new segment in this Nice Drop report. It's called Matt's Moments. Matt's Moments.
All right.
Matt's Moments. Well,
do you want to take us through a little bit of your summary of the game then?
I mean, the start of it was that it was. Oh, geez. Shall I start with a real cliche? It was a game of two halves. It was a game of two halves. It was. The first half, apart from the goal, was actually quite unspectacular, really. It wasn't actually in terms of footballing terms, there wasn't really a hell of a lot. I'm looking at my ratings at halftime. Apart from De Vries, which we'll get onto, he was probably the only one that was, maybe Rogerson as well. And is it Gillian, number 14?
Yeah.
Gillian.
They were the three that stood out in what was, more or less a pretty unspectacular first half. So that's pretty much all I can say about the first half. But the second half, I mean, that's when it really came into its own. I'll start from the top. Paulson gets us. Actually, I'll tell you where I start. Everyone always starts.
I've actually written all your ratings down you gave to me, and we can actually run it along the bottom of the screen. Look at that.
Oh, perfect. There you go.
All right, Matt, talk us through it.
So everyone starts with a 6. So you have to, I feel like I was going to start with a 5, but I think a 6 is okay. I think 6 is about level par, and then obviously obviously it's obvious, isn't it? You do things to make yourself do up and do things to go down. So Paulson, what have I got? Number 7, a 7. Yeah, just pretty solid, really. Distribution was exceptionally good. The thing with Paulson, though, was he didn't start the second half particularly well. There was I don't know if you saw it yourself, there was quite a few loose passes at the beginning of the second half. He hit one right along the...
It was bouncing about a bit, in our box.
Yeah, he hit a poor one, and then he kind of followed up with another quite poor one straight down the middle that really wasn't capitalised on from this. But apart from that, I mean, hey, it's a clean sheet. They've won the game 2-0. He gets a 7. Sakai was really good. Sakai gets a 7.5. I wasn't going to put 0.5s in, but I'll give him a 7.5. It was a captain's performance. You could tell that he'd played at a high level. You really could. He was calm. You could tell he just had all the time in the world whenever he got the ball. If anything, I'll try and keep the speed up here, but I just felt that actually he's almost wasted a little bit at right back in the number 2. But it's obviously where he's played most of his career.
Would you push him up further? I mean, he sort of was playing wing backs anyway, right?
Yeah, I know. Obviously 34, 35, but I mean, every time he received the ball, he just seemed to have so much time. He had so much space. He always found a person. Yeah, I don't know where you could put him. I don't know if you could put him in a.
I think
defensive
the right
midfield
back
role
does suit that because the way that sort of attack was working was that the wingers were sort of dragging the fullbacks in, which freed up that space for Sakai to make those passes into the box, which led to the first goal.
Yeah, it's by design, and that's very much a Corica kind
Same thing with De Vries too. He was able to get a good couple of balls, and he just wasn't quite able to get anything from it.
Yeah. I'll stick the two centre-halves together. They come as a pair, 6.5 and 6. I mean, I think Pianka needs someone like Hall playing alongside him for the pace. In the first half, I'd have to admit Pianka got turned a little bit. I think once or twice because of the pace. It'd be interesting to see how he goes when they play other teams that maybe have someone up front that can maybe play the ball behind. But that's where Hall gets a 6.5. He's quick and he reads the game well and he's got good pace. So I thought he did quite well. I think I'm going to have to give a man of the match to Vries, left back, 7.5. I almost gave him an 8. I thought he was absolutely
I've got him as an 8. Has he been downgraded since you sent these?
No, give him an 8. I'll give him an 8. Yeah.
Boy, an 8.
Give the boy an 8 for crying out loud. I don't want to give him too much, but it is the first game.
You don't want to start too high. That's right. Yeah.
No, exactly. If I start going too high, then I just make myself look a right mug. So De Vries gets man of the match with an 8 for sure. He was, I mean, combative, got up and down that. I mean, the cross for the goal deserves a point.
That was Guillermo Mai.
No, De Vries on the left.
No, it was
the second goal. The second
goal.
Yeah, the second goal was Guillermo Mai that assisted that.
You sure? I think it was De Vries. He crossed it in from the left.
Oh, and I've got Flopmob up and it's got Guillermo Mai.
Should we play the video again?
Yeah. I might have to downgrade him to 6.5 and take his man of the match award away.
I thought it was De Vries that put that ball in, to be fair. I remember the blonde guy. Anyway.
We'll put that on hold. Let's hope he hasn't
showed his kids. I'll have a quick look.
Let's hope he hasn't showed his parents and all his kids the man of the match award for Matt McGann.
That's right. Pending this now.
Yeah, pending that. Yeah, tell him not to. Don't polish it yet, mate. You might have to give it back. Don't get out of the box. The Strate and is it Gallegos in the middle?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty solid. I think Gallegos got 6.5. I thought he was the better of the two.
Okay, no, I've found out what's happened.
Hold on, Blair. Yep.
I've watched the replay and Guillermo Mai got the touch on it that takes it past the defenders.
The cross was the left.
The cross was De Vries.
So it's a secondary assist to De Vries.
Yeah.
Secondary assist.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, pending. We'll still put a pending on that.
So you only give those centre mid boys six each. I thought they had a good game.
The thing is, again, it's early days. It'd be interesting to see when they come across a bit of a midfield that's got a bit more of a bite and a bit more of a speed. I didn't think Brisbane were particularly great in the middle of the park. The Strate was actually very good out of possession. He was actually quite, he filled the space. He stopped the flow. He was quite competitive.
Well, he made the interception which started the first goal off, though, right?
Yeah.
I remember if you watch that tape right back, he has a critical interception. It's quite a long way back. I mean, if the other guy wins the ball there, it's dodge, you know. Go on, carry on. So the boys in the middle, and then Rogerson.
Yeah, Rogerson gets a 7.5. He's got to get at least a mark for the goal. It was, like I said, it was a really good finish. It's a fantastic cross, but it was a good finish. So, but he also, I think he did quite. I think he was probably the one that stood out in the first half, as opposed to really anybody. I think he cut in early in the first half and made a bit of a menace of himself there. So that was quite good. Yeah, Brimmer gets a 5. I thought Brimmer was probably the poorest. I don't want to say the poorest player, but I think was it you, Robbie, that mentioned he's the guy that's come up from, or somebody mentioned he's come up from, the lower leagues. He's been promoted from regional football. Hasn't he?
Johnny Warren medalist, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was the A-League's best player a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, he's quite decorated. Yeah.
I didn't think he particularly. I mean, it wasn't a surprise that he got substituted as well. I think he was the first to go off. Was it Howison that came on for him in about 65th minute? So, I don't know. I just felt like the game kind of passed him a little bit. Compared to the next guy, Gillian. Was it Gillian? He was at the beginning of the second half. Good. He was fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic second half.
That was also his professional debut.
Wow.
First time he's ever played pro football.
Yeah,
that looked amazing.
So what do you mean by that? Is he one of our Kiwi lads that's come up through the New Zealand leagues?
Yeah, so he's only played semi-pro games in the National League for, I think it was Auckland City.
Who's that? Gillian?
Gillen, yeah.
That was
Gillen?
his first ever
Gillian,
professional
Gillen, yeah.
match. Because I believe he was in the Knicks
14.
academy,
Yeah,
but he
he-
didn't get promoted.
He actually got on the
Wow.
ball
he was-
and moved forward with the ball. You know, he's one of those
He had a
players.
go.
And
He was very good.
yeah, I
Yeah.
like
He was
players
very
like that.
physical too. He really went shoulder to shoulder with his man a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
caused
so I
Van
thought the
Sargent
second
much
half-
trouble.
Yeah, second half between about 50 and 65, 70, he was very good. Very, very good. He almost wrestled the game away from Brisbane, made sure that they didn't really get off to a decent second half start. So he was very good. Yeah, he needs to see more of the ball. And May, May, not much to say too much. I think I'll probably get on to the lineup for the following week. I think he could, I don't know, his
I
hold
think
of play was quite good.
Because he played that one touch pass on like a weird angle to open up Sakai for that opening goal, and he made an interception from between the goalkeeper and the centre back, squared it across, and Brimmer went flying through and missed it. Another day he's got a goal and assist.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I thought he was quite good.
I'm
mate.
looking at the notes. He has done some good things. I just thought, he may have made a bit of.
I mean, give the boy the chance. He's sort of like, he's made that first goal. He was in and around the box, causing trouble. I thought he was pretty decent.
He made
He's a tough taskmaster, man.
It's a tough crowd, old Matt's moment. Say this segment.
This is why you put your head above. This is why someone's going to put the head above the parapet. Get the conversation going. There's always going to be.
You're that guy, Matt.
Another man's May, another man's Messi, I suppose. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and you're getting some comments on the chat there.
I thought I might.
Phil Metcalf, don't think I saw Pinaka make a mistake. Super impressed. And
who's that? Yeah.
Pinaka, yep. And Brandon Badenhorst, sorry if I got that name wrong, mate. Verstraete deserves at least an 8, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought he was good, Verstraete.
He had a slow start. He was
it was a slow start.
Minutes, but once he got into the groove of the game, he was away.
Yeah, okay. We'll see. I mean, again, where our whole judgment is that it was the first game, and I don't think Brisbane were particularly strong in the middle of the park.
That's fair.
I thought Costa was very good. I thought the guys at the back weren't. I mean, obviously they've conceded 2 goals, but I didn't think they were too bad. But in the middle of the park, I don't think they really. There wasn't a hell of a lot. So we'll see. We'll see how they go from there. But you're right about probably about May. When I look at some of my notes, he's actually done some good stuff there. So maybe a bit harsh. I mean, my next point was just basically the lineup for the following week. That might be a segment, but I think the 2 people that might be replaced, I think, would be Brimmer and May. I think Matter could get a run out up front, and Brimmer could maybe be replaced someone like Harrison or something like that.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, in Brimmer's defense, sorry, Dale, I watching the game, I don't think the ball kind of just went his way. As playing as a central 10, a lot of the game was played on the flanks, and the ball would come through the sixes, Verstraete, Gallegos, but then it would be played out wide, and that's Gillian to run at the defense, Sacco on the overlap, and Brimmer. Yeah, I mean, like Blair said earlier, if maybe he's a little bit taller or a touch quicker, he gets to that cross from wide, he gets himself a goal, and I think there's enough touches there for Brimmer, and he is still kind of trying to get that confidence back from his Johnny Warren medal.
Yeah, I mean, opening game, first games of the season, like some players might. I mean, and the pre-season, it was 3.5 months, but like they played a bunch of games, and there was this big gap, and you sort of wonder whether they need a few competitive games.
Look, I can almost guarantee Brimmer will win us games at some point across the season, whether that be from a dead ball or he does something outrageous. He is that kind of player, so probably was maybe a bad day at the office for him, maybe.
Yeah, I think in his defence as well, when I was watching the game, is that people stood out. People like De Vries stood out, Sakai stood out. And what I did probably find myself doing is that I really, probably for the last 20 or 30 minutes, I really tried to concentrate on Verstraete and Gallegos to see exactly, because it's the engine room. That's probably going to be where, if you can really take hold of the game, you're going to take it, in the middle of the park. And that's probably, but then again, against Brimmer would be that even though I wasn't watching him much, Gillian just stood out. Every time he received the ball, he seemed to do something good with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He found,
All right,
I was looking at some of my notes with number 14.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, you must have pages of them there by the sounds of it, Matthew. We're getting into them. Yeah.
No, that's probably about it. I think
Is
I've got
it
about the 3.5, 4 pages there.
Just a couple of notes.
The review.
It's
Yeah,
very,
just a couple of
very,
notes.
very diligent for our audience. Thank you.
Very diligent.
That's good. Very good.
There you go.
And it's great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that little segment. Hey, look, bit of a change of pace. We have another special guest this week. We are welcome to the Nice Drop Report show, Max Fletcher, who is a football journalist, writing articles for Friends of Football. He's been pretty intrigued by the Auckland team. Friends of Football is kind of like a New Zealand's football website, basically. Looks like it goes right from grassroots reporting right up to, what's Chris Wood up to and the All Whites and obviously the A-League teams. Welcome to the show, Max.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now, did you get to the game yourself?
Yeah, I was thankfully on the right down by the port, sort of, and great action. Just the atmosphere was insane. Just definitely the best sports match I've been to in New Zealand for sure. Yeah,
well, I mean, I guess if you're a football writer in New Zealand, you're going to a lot of different levels of football. I mean, how did this sort of was a much higher level than you used to sort of writing about?
Yeah, I normally just do the Northern League or National League, do previews or reviews after the weekend and sort of look at results, watch some games. And so sort of, I guess the semi-pro New Zealand League, so obviously under the A-League. But now, like you said, Liam Gillian and a lot of New Zealand talent is now going into the next stage. So it's good to see the players that I'm writing about going into the professional stage.
So you were across Liam Gillian and a few others before we heard of them. Were you, Max?
I've heard about them for a good 2 years, 2-3 years, okay. Just like here in Hamilton, obviously playing at a few of the local teams, and he's definitely been on the radar. So I wasn't surprised when he was announced for Auckland FC for sure.
Mm. Just as a follow-up question before your next one, Dale, Max, is for every Liam Gillian, how many more are there in the New Zealand domestic? Because I haven't been home for over a decade, so I'm just curious to know how much depth there would be in the local ranks.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. There's a lot still coming through, especially that obviously Auckland City, which is they're in the OFC. They win the OFC Champions League every year and go to Club World Cups. They're sort of that club that are now sort of they still have the big players, but are developing youth, and a lot of that youth, probably mainly in Auckland, is coming through and doing really well with this under-20 role in the regional leagues, is helping younger players. Like, you have to play 3 or so for however many minutes during each game for each club, and that's helping develop the youth in New Zealand. So definitely it's looking bright for like Auckland FC as well.
Awesome. Is there a bit of excitement around the traps at this kind of pathway to an A-League team that you've sort of witnessed down on ground level? Do people talk about it?
Yeah, for sure. It's it's sort of a thing where it's only just down the road, even if it's in central, not having to go to Wellington. It's just more of a local pathway, and hopefully they'll start the academy up soon and have a reserves team going shortly, and that'll just open doors for every young, good, decent New Zealand footballer. So.
I'm also quite excited that there are young guys like yourself who want to be football writers. It's kind of like writing's seen as a bit of a dying art, but it's actually not. There's online now is kind of almost bigger than the old newspapers were. Is that a career that's sort of like many are doing in New Zealand? I mean, we're a rugby nation, but you want to be a football writer. So many of them doing it out there.
I don't think there's many doing it. As like Friends of Football was a non-paid organisation. We're all volunteers, so we all just write in our own time. But I don't believe so. A lot obviously cover different sports, and Sky Sport and different things. They cover a lot of different sports. So, but I'd just love to get into the sport journalism in general anyway.
Great
Awesome.
stuff. Great stuff. Good on you, man. All right, well, we'll keep you on the show as we push through. The next thing I wanted to get into is a little bit of an A League roundup. You know, as you know, us English boys, this is a bit new to us. You know, looking over at the other teams and what they're doing. But I watched the roundup and I sort of kept across what was going on in the Sydney Derby. Robbie, what was the Sydney Derby like this year?
Amazing. So I had to, when I finished producing my game, I made the dash out to Combank Stadium to call it for radio. Got there about 20 minutes into the game. So courtesy of the Sydney traffic once again.
That doesn't sound like you, Robbie, being late.
It's not a theme, I promise. But no, the atmosphere of a Sydney Derby is just awesome. And you had two superstars of the game who are still, you know, easily capable of doing stuff on a football field in Douglas Costa and Juan Mata, and they both delivered. Like Mata only come off the bench for about 20-30 minutes, but even his few touches, you could still, there's something there. Game delivered once again, you know, goals, red cards. It was both sets of fans going off. It's an awesome occasion. So I'm very impressed with Sydney FC. It'll be an interesting game coming up, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're playing them this week, of course, Sunday, back at Mount Smart. I mean, how do you know more about Sydney than the rest of us, Robbie? How do you think Auckland are going to get on?
There's so many intriguing storylines to this. You know, none more so than it's Steve Corica against his old team, who punted him basically. Having been with that club for 20 odd years, given the boot, starts up his new team, and he's got off to a pretty good start. Sydney FC have one of the best attacks, if not the best attack in the comp. You got Joe Lolly, an Englishman formerly of Nottingham Forest, who's been Sydney's best player for the last 2 seasons. There you go.
Well, he's from Birmingham. We could never sign him, but he's from Birmingham.
Yeah, claim him any way you can, basically.
Oh hell yeah!
You got Joe Lolly on one wing, Douglas Costa on the other, and the thing that was most noticeable on the derby was they swapped wings quite often. I think it was partly down to Douglas Costa's marker, Jack Clisby, was having an absolute mare. He could not keep up with him. So then the Wanderers coach switched Clisby to the other side, and straight away Ufuk Talay, Sydney coach, went bang, switch. So Costa just stayed on him the whole time and just gave him nightmares. Anas Wahim playing through the middle, Patrick Klamala playing up front, Caceres pulling the strings in midfield. This is a very dangerous attacking side. So defensively, Auckland will be more tested this week. I can almost guarantee that.
Do we see Corica setting up quite different then? More defensive?
I don't think so. It's not. I don't think he needs to do much different, really. To be honest, off the back of the first game, maybe the odd tweak in terms of play style, but I don't necessarily foresee too many major changes. Perhaps we see Max Mata a little bit earlier, if not starting, playing up front, because he's a bigger body. And how that, you know, whether that's for a Brimmer or he, you know, plays 2 up front with Guillermo Mai, because I think Mai's a good presence up top. So maybe there's a little bit too much of a similarity between Mata and Mai, and just in terms of playing style. I don't know, but I don't think Corica needs to change much, really. And look, he'll have all the inside information on Sydney FC. Like, he doesn't need to do too much homework, really.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, like, he must know them better than most. So in Steve Corica we trust, I guess. So A-League roundup. There was a hammering for Perth, I saw. MacArthur hammered Perth. Is that a kind of like unusual result, or would we expect Perth to get hammered by 6 goals? It's a big win, eh?
Yeah, and I think surprising a little bit. I think Perth were picked by a few to be sort of at the lower end of the table, based on their pre-season and Australia Cup form. You know, they're playing this high press attacking style, and it did catch the eye to some degree of success through the early games this season, but then come on the weekend, nothing worked. Nothing went right for them. They had to abandon. I think by halftime they had to basically throw the plan out the door because of 4 or 5 goals inside 30 minutes. So I don't know if you call it an anomaly, but Macarthur are a team in form, and they too have a pretty attractive front line. They play a really high. It's a weird one. They're not the high press kind of style team, but when they go forward, they play with a lot of speed, and they've got some real talent in their front line. So the 6 was deserved because Perth were dreadful. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think you'll see that too many times.
No, it was I sort of watched a few of the other games, and I can't remember which game it was, but it was exactly as you, Robbie, and Adam, our guest last week, described with the away fans. And I think the away team scored a goal, and there was like one guy in the shot, in the TV shot, and he's like jumping about with his colours, you know. It's like, oh, look at this. There's literally one guy, like he couldn't find any friends to make the journey, you know, with him wherever it was. I can't remember which teams it was, but it tickled me, you know. Yeah. So we of course there was a funny moment of the game where we were top of the league, of course, and the crowd. I mean, Blair's lost us. I don't know where we've lost Blair, but
that's his spreadsheet causing havoc again.
I think he needs to, that's right. It's too much power to the computer. That's right. I think gosh, I've lost my train of thought there. What was I talking about?
The
crowd top of the. That's right. Well, we're going to get to that, but we started singing "We Are Top of the League," you know, like, and that nice. It felt very similar to Spurs, you know, like we always seem to go top of the league after 2 or 3 games, you know, and put a run of 2 wins together, and we are top of the league, and it's kind of like, I hope we don't live to regret this, you know. But yeah, and I was just going to get into so the you know we've had a strong start. We're 16-1 with the bookies at the moment, and Melbourne Victory and Sydney Football Club are basically the favourites.
Oh, is that to win the league?
Yeah, we're 16-1 to win the league, which is about 7th or 8th favourites after that first game. So
feels to me feels about right. I think maybe.
I think we might do better. You know, Max, what do you reckon Auckland's chances this year?
Yeah, I think they're definitely top 6, maybe top 4 even. But I think they'll give it a good shot for the first year for sure.
And I mean, is that right to have Sydney and Melbourne Victory favourites, Robbie, in this league? Are they the big boys we've got to worry about?
Yeah, absolutely. Sydney have recruited really well. Victory were the strongest looking team through Australia Cup until the final when they lost to Macarthur. They got a coach in Patrick Osnobo who's won the league before, had a pretty rough stint in France, got a team relegated and then got booted himself. So he's kind of coming back with a point to prove. So probably deserving, I think. I'd maybe even throw Macarthur as a dark horse in that mix, but like I said last week, I still think Auckland's squad, based on squad alone, Auckland's the top 6 side. But it's just how they can get everything to gel quickly.
My question for Robbie is it going to be quite tricky to kind of almost see what Auckland are going to be? Because are they going to play 2 teams that are going to be really pole apart? Are they going to play, you know, Brisbane, one of the poorer teams, and then they're going to play Sydney, probably arguably the best team in the league? Is it going to be quite tricky to figure out exactly where Auckland are? Because
we're going to see this weekend, aren't we?
Yeah, you know,
I think the next 2 games will be big. You know,
a poor team, and then you're going to play a very good team. It's going to be a bit tricky to see exactly where we stack up.
Yeah, and look, it's a fair question. I think, having been immersed in this league, that whenever I do a tipping comp in the A League, it's impossible to tip because on paper, Sydney is the stronger team than Brisbane. Brisbane are doing a bit of a rebuild, you know, as we touched on last week. But you come to a weekend the script can be flipped so easily. Like you'll see out of nowhere a 6-1 result. But then, and it happened a few times last season. Brisbane against Melbourne City, they played twice in the space of a couple of weeks. One game was an 8-1 result in favour of Melbourne City. When they met a couple of weeks later, Brisbane won by 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah.
So week to week, things can change pretty quickly. The league is so close. It's a lot closer than people give it credit for, I think.
Yeah, I thought Brisbane didn't have much because I think just before the game started, I think the guy that was coaching them, I think he was. I don't think is he the intern? I don't think he's been given the job off the back of something just recently, and you could tell that. I don't know if there was he's trying to implement something, but I don't think there was much cohesion there. So you could probably argue that give him he needs a couple more games, 3 or 4 more games to. But again, because the A-League is such a short season, you don't get a hell of a lot of time to implement something, do you? So
yeah, and it's a weird one. It's the longest off season in the world, Ruben Zakovic, Brisbane coach, he did sort of inherit this team because the previous coach Ben Kahn had like health problems, so he kind of inherited this team, then was given the job full time. So this is his first full off season. So
sure,
I think there is. You're right to an extent. Like there's still a bit of betting in period. He's still trying to implement what he wants to do with this team. So they're a work in progress.
Yeah, for sure. You can tell. Yeah.
Good stuff. I don't know where Blair's gone, but he may well be coming back, or he may not. We're going to bring back.
He said his camera isn't working. Everything else is sweet. I think my camera overheated. That's what he said in the chat, in our private chat.
I don't know how to give Blair IT support at this stage. Yeah, switch it off, switch it on is the usual one. I'm going to bring back a favourite from last week, which is Name That Derby. And I understand that Robbie's got one for us this week. Is that right, Robbie? You've got a potential derby, a new one?
Yeah, based on my efforts last week in getting to the podcast, and then on the weekend getting out to the Wanderers game. How should I do this? Should I name the derby and then you guys guess what it is?
Why don't you name the name of the derby, and we'll try guess the teams.
Yeah,
and
we'll go around. Yeah.
So the derby would be called El Tráfico.
El Tráfico. It's got to be. I'm going to go. It's got to be Sydney up to like. Well, what's the team above Sydney? Hold on. Is it? It wouldn't. MacArthur's too far. No. Or is it Sydney? Gosh, Newcastle. Is it one of the Sydney teams?
It's Sydney is one.
Sydney.
Come on, Dan. Name your 2 teams.
Well, El Tráfico. I mean, it's got to be because it takes the traffic's terrible between the two places, right?
So they've got to be close, haven't they?
Yeah, it's not going to be Melbourne because it's a lot. Central Coast, Sydney, Central Coast, Sydney.
No, I didn't say the 2. Oh no.
Hold on, let's get this league table out. Hold on.
Yeah, I need to.
Come on, Max. You watch more football than the rest of us.
Yeah, come on, Barry. Where are you?
Hold on, we're looking up a list of A-League teams. I've forgotten. What we got? We got Newcastle.
I'm going to say Melbourne City.
Where is traffic absolutely horrendous?
I'm going to say the 2 Melbourne teams: Melbourne City, Melbourne Victory. That's my guess. Because I lived in.
One of them's the Sydney one. Go on, then, tell us. Gosford.
No, Gosford's actually not too bad. Newcastle's okay as well.
Newcastle's okay. Don't know. Tell us.
Sydney, Auckland. It's the two cities that I've
had. Because we both got bad traffic. We're overthinking this. We're thinking it's between one place to the other.
It was me.
That there's derbies that go across international waters in this league. Come on, guys.
No, we're not quite with this yet, Robbie. Like we're
we can't even edit this either. We've been stupid live as well.
It is. You're right. The 2 things those cities always have in common is people moaning about the traffic. Right? It's like it's unavoidable.
I knew live was a bad idea. Could have edited Could have made ourselves look at least somewhat smart to some degree.
No, this is all a learning process. It's fine.
It's-
It's fine.
This
It
is
is, yeah,
this is
yeah.
a, this is
Can
a
we- can we-
journey.
Can we like cut that? Something? It's really hard to do actually on
Yeah.
camera.
None of it, you can't cut when you're live, Matthew. It's
Oh,
that's
we're
it.
live. Oh, we're
We're-
live.
that's-
We're live.
We are live, definitely. It's a good one, El Travico, and where are we settling on this Kiwi Classico? Like none of us felt too happy with it last week, but it's kind of like forced upon us.
I think maybe as the resident journalist, we should go to Max for that. Surely your
Max,
writing
yeah.
brain.
Yeah,
can
well,
come
what
up
are we
with
going to
something a
call
bit
this
better.
derby? Yeah.
Yeah.
Any ideas?
Don't
Come on,
better-
Max.
better-
Or on the spot.
better than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry to put you on
I
the
think
spot.
it could definitely do a better game than Kiwi Classico, but it's a tough one.
It's hard. It is hard.
And you can't say North versus South because it's not, it's not.
Nah.
Yeah, I'm not too sure to be fair.
I feel like it's just the Yenar derby or something, The Yenar derby, something like that.
Yeah. I quite like that. Yeah.
There's nothing more Kiwi than just saying Yenar all the time.
Yeah. It's quite good actually.
No, yeah. No.
No, yeah, no,
Yeah, no. Yenar. Good stuff. All right, we'll go with it. Any other offers? No.
yeah. Comment below.
Comment below.
Comment
Comment
below.
below.
Well, funny you mentioned that. Danny Milner, Battle of Middle Earth.
Battle of Middle Earth, not bad.
Oh,
Not bad.
Yeah, that's quite good.
Bad.
Yeah,
bad.
that's quite good.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've never watched those Lord of the Rings films all the way through. They're so long. They're so
Yeah.
long. They're mammoths. They're like 4 hours or something.
Yeah, it's it's not an
I've only
easy watch,
recently-
but it's entertaining. I think it's you do need to kind of plan ahead for it. You need
Yeah.
plenty
And
of
I've
snacks
got
and drinks.
I've got no attention span for this type of carry on. It's not a chance. Not a chance. Try to get some of my Gen Alpha slang in there.
I was gonna say, get yourself, take the phone off the hook.
That's
Settle
right.
yourself in.
Oh.
Does everyone take the phone off the hook anymore?
What? If you're watching Lord of the Rings, cool work. Tell them you're not in for a week.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Also, no one can call you. No one can disturb you. Take the phone off the hook.
And this might be controversial, but it's so boring as well. Like I know those movies did well, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, Battle of Middle Earth. I
I
don't
like
know.
it. I like that.
I don't know. Yeah,
Well,
that's one.
Blair's entered the chat on the YouTube page.
Oh yeah.
Te Mata
Blackish-
Rohia, which means the classic in Māori.
Oh.
I don't mind that.
Mm.
Te
What was it again?
Mataroa? Taror?
Te Mata Rohia.
Mataroa here
Mm.
means the
Yeah.
means the classic.
Mm.
in Māori, apparently.
Today,
Mm.
Marty.
Mm.
Perfect.
That's good. That's good.
All right.
Yeah.
We should run a poll next week or something. Perfect. Yeah, good stuff. Hey, look, there's one thing that I missed when I introduced Max, which did tickle me when I was looking up your website. You do your writing for Friends of Football. So, and this is a bit of a plug for Friends of Football. It was actually started by famous all white assistant manager Brian Turner in 2013, which I didn't know. And I had the great fortune to meet and do a bit of filming with Brian Turner when the All Whites qualified for the World Cup. And he's a lovely guy, real big football guy, like he grew up in England and then sort of came out here and actually went back to the UK. And I think he played for a couple of decent teams like Portsmouth and I want to say Brentford or someone. But yeah, on the reason why I tell this story is on your website, Max, membership, it says the membership of Friends of Football is open to anyone who supports our group's goals and objectives. What are the objectives? Tell us about it. And then it says we have a $40 joining fee, which entitles you to a perpetual membership unless you die, resign, are declared bankrupt, are convicted of a serious crime, or bring the game of football into disrepute. And I was just trying to wonder which one I was more likely to do first.
Last one.
It's brilliant. It's hopefully the last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you come up with that, Max?
I feel like they
No,
should
I
be
didn't
the.
even know that.
It's great.
I feel like they should be the things to come on this podcast. You're allowed on the podcast, but then if you're associated with this, you do this. Obviously, if you're dead, you can't come on.
Any of these things, you're off. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you die or you're declared bankrupt, you're off. And certainly don't be
Yeah,
convicted of
well,
serious crime or bring the game of football into disrepute. Matthew, you almost certainly did bring the game of football into disrepute when you used to play. Without a doubt.
And being a Birmingham City supporter probably puts me in a danger bracket, the red zone.
That's right. That's right.
That's why I can't get a ticket from Matt Smart. They must have known. They're like, oh.
well, Matt's going to be coming.
Guy? No.
Yeah,
Matt's coming to his first game next week. You coming to your first game?
Might have to try and do some kind of disguise thing or something like that.
I'm keen to buy a shirt, but it's kind of like when you've got 4 kids, you're not buying a shirt, you're buying 5 shirts, you know. So I'm kind of like I'm putting off for a while.
Here's a controversial thing, but if you're gonna, this might annoy a few people, but this is what I'm here for. If you're gonna turn up to a football game in a football shirt, it's got to be one of the teams that's playing.
Because
obviously on the TV, they showed a bloke and he's sitting there with his Liverpool football shirt on.
Oh, come on!
And I thought, well, that's it. I'm throwing it out there.
No offense to any Scousers. You know, some of my best friends are Scousers. You know,
yeah. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been a Villa shirt, but yeah, I'm just going to put it out there. Don't bother, bro.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Wear the shirt of the team that's actually playing.
Yeah, that's fair. I remember going to Arsenal came out to Sydney for a game against a couple of the A-League sides. And I was on the train out to the Olympic Stadium, and there was a kid, would have been maybe 10 to 12. He had something like a Madrid bag, a Barcelona hat, wearing an Arsenal shirt, and there were at least two other teams as well. And I just looked at him and went, mate, you might be 10, but that's just not on. I can't.
Even at 10, it's not acceptable. No, not a chance. Not a chance.
Get him in the bin.
That's right. It does remind me of when where I grew up. I went to have a little game of football like we did, and I met a new kid. And when you meet a new kid in England, first question, what football team do you support? He says, I like Spurs and Arsenal.
Oh,
and I said,
no!
And I just walked away. I just couldn't deal with it. And we were about 10 or 11 at the time. Even then, I mean, I guess that's what like football is. You sort of pick a team and you get real tribal with it, and it's kind of like, yeah.
There's even a great. This actually blew up a little while ago. There's 2 Matildas players, Australian women's players, one playing at Arsenal, one playing at Spurs, and they're friends. And the Spurs player went to watch her mate play, and wore an Arsenal scarf as a Spurs player. And I'm like, oh, that, yeah, exactly, man. That reaction.
It's too much. It's too much. These people got a death wish or something.
Yeah.
Although, I will ask. I did see a few Inter Milan shirts on the weekend. Is that acceptable, given the black and blue?
What do you think, Matt?
No.
Not even a chance. No.
The thing that worries me there more is that they've even tried to kind of bypass the rule. You know the rule. I see what you're trying to do.
You know the rule. That's right.
But I'm not having it.
Speaking of rules,
yeah, get the flag.
Who stole the flag? I mean, Blair has
so bad.
The internet's gone in Huntley, clearly. I picked this up on the week. This story of people haven't heard. The flag that Blair was actually the flag bearer for. It wasn't his flag. It was someone else's flag. I think it said Pride of New Zealand, and they carry it down the stairs. It's kind of like And they pinned it up at the game, and the guy I think whose flag it was also a drummer or something. He's like busy drumming. And the end of the game, a couple of tea leaves have made off with this massive iconic flag. The guys spent heaps of cash on it, no doubt, and it was part of the opening day. And then I read it's in the Herald now. And once it's in the New Zealand Herald, you know it's clickbait, right? And it's going to travel the story. So I wouldn't be surprised if gosh.
I thought for a second there where you said it's in the Herald, it's like at the Herald.
Oh,
Like,
they've got it.
they've
Yeah, the
taken
guys
it.
at the.
They've just got it behind them.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, no. Well, you know, don't you?
But so the story goes a 10 and a 14-year-old, and I don't know how they know exactly how old these kids that stole it are, but they've run off with the flag. They've pilfered the flag. They've run out of the stadium, and now there's a sort of like inquest as to whether it's going to be returned, or not. I mean, a sour note, but I'm sure this flag's going to come back, right? Like I think it'll be a nice story if the boys put it back next weekend. But geez, they best be quick, eh?
I bet it's them kids in the Inter Milan shirts.
Could be.
They've clearly
Not
got
the Liverpool shirts.
Yeah, well,
it could be the Liverpool fans. Oh, actually, no, we won't. We're not going to go there, are we?
Yeah, he's the first one that comes to mind, but I will leave that. But I bet it's some Inter Milan lads. They've clearly just got they obviously got no respect for the law. They've gone all in.
Anyway, if you're watching out there and you got the flag, give it back. All right, you've had your fun. You've had your fun.
Yeah.
All right, I think this is bringing us to a close. Obviously we got Sydney this weekend. I intend to attend the game, even though strangely I actually have a trip to Christchurch, which has been booked, which myself and my wife we forgot about, and it gets back into Sydney. Sorry, not Sydney. It gets back into Auckland at 3:10 p.m. on the Sunday. And the game's at 4 p.m. Mount Smart, domestic airport. But here's the kicker: I'm on Jetstar, so we'll see how that pans out.
Yikes
for me. But yeah, so Matt, you're heading down to the game. Max, you going back to the game Sunday?
No, not this weekend. No.
Not this weekend. And Robbie, what about you? You got work on, or are you going to be able to sit down and relax and watch this game on TV?
I'll be able to sit and watch this one. I'm working on a Matildas game. They're playing in Switzerland, so I have a 4 a.m. No, a 2 a.m. start on Saturday morning. So, but other than that, yeah, I'll be watching.
Good on you.
All right, good stuff. All right, well, enjoy yourself this weekend, lads, and anyone that watched the show, listened on Spotify, YouTube, anyone that's seen any of the shorts, please support us. Give us some likes, follows. We'll take them all. And have an absolutely wonderful weekend and enjoy Auckland FC. And hopefully by the end of the weekend, we've got 6 points in the bag. See you later.
Up the port.
Yeah.
Up the port.